This tax exemption eludes me like a gazelle eludes an arthritic cat.
Why can't Canby people keep track of their dogs? Like, what is...
To do that, you can't be stupid with guns.
Yeah. So the board is saying they want to make Canby schools great again.
It feels like we've been doing this interview for years.
Inside of me was screaming.
You run for school board, you win or you die.
There's no second place. Welcome to the Canby Now podcast.
We are the best and easiest way to stay connected to what's happening in your hometown. I'm Tyler Franke.
I'm Joyce Struby.
And I'm Tyler Clausen.
The Canby School District is exploring the possibility of presenting a new bond proposal to voters during one of the two major elections next year. The proposal would not raise taxes, but it would extend the current rate from the previous bond that voters passed to build Baker Prairie Middle School 15 years ago. That bond is due to expire at the end of 2020. No specific projects have yet been identified, but the district is clear about what the bond won't include: new construction. The district recently completed a long range of planning analysis, which confirms Canby won't be needing any school buildings to handle the growth projected in the foreseeable future. Instead, the staff and community members who may ultimately be appointed to the proposed bond development work group would consider options such as deferred maintenance, other facilities, and technology upgrades. District Communications Coordinator Autumn Foster informed the school board at its last meeting that the district has hired a bond consultant, Wright Public Affairs. This is a Portland-based research firm that will conduct a poll to collect feedback about the district's needs and what the community would support.
His initial work is developing a demographic profile of likely voters in Canby, and he's going to work directly with Mr. Patinkin. And so that profile kind of helps determine the messaging to the community. It helps us gauge where likely supporters might be. And then he can also help us kind of weigh in on whether May is a good bet or November. And so that information will be presented when we do discuss the polling results on the 17th.
The district plans to use this feedback, along with its recently completed long-range facilities plan, to identify projects. These projects would be included in the bond package ultimately presented to the voters. The first consideration is whether to pursue a new bond at all, and if so, when. The district could either target the primary election in May or the general election in November. After November 2020, the current bond rate will have expired. After this point, the district would face the much more challenging task of asking voters for a tax increase, rather than simply an extension of the current rate. Foster told the board that the district's consultant believes May could be the best opportunity. With a hotly contested Democratic primary on the ballot, voters who turn out may be more progressive and younger, and more female votes are also projected. The consultant believes this would more likely lead to support for a school bond. If the school board does wish to propose a ballot measure in the next year's primary, they must make their decision by November 7th. In other Canby school news, the district is holding 2 community engagement sessions to share your input about what's going well and what needs improvement. An English language session will be held at 7 p.m. Monday at the Canby High School Commons. The Monday meeting will also include light snacks. A Spanish session is set for 6 p.m. Tuesday at the Trost Elementary School Library. Dinner is provided at the Tuesday meeting. Childcare will be offered at both meetings. This input will help the district's continuous improvement plan, which will become a basis for their application for funds through the Student Success Act. An impartial Clackamas County hearings officer on Thursday heard the appeal of a group of Portland-based entrepreneurs. The group wants to turn land they own just outside of Canby into a large recreational cannabis operation for multiple licensed growers. The company is Hortilatitude 45 LLC. In 2017, they purchased a 21-acre farm property located about a mile and a half south of Canby across Highway 170 from the Lone Elder store. Their intention was to build 8 approximately 3,400 square foot greenhouses on concrete pads, which could then be leased to multiple licensed marijuana growers, essentially acting as tenant farmers. Their plans for the greenhouses and overall use of the property were approved by the county in June of 2018. The problem is that 9 months later, the county passed a new ordinance prohibiting more than 1 cannabis production license per parcel of land. It basically made Horda's business model illegal. Horda argued to the county that the new ordinance should not be retroactively applied to them. They argued that they have vested rights to pursue their intended use of land under the planning codes as they stood last year. When their land use application was approved, the county denied their request, hence the appeal that was presented last week to hearings officer Fred Wilson, a Salem attorney. County planner Glenn Hamburg advocated several arguments in defense of their position, indicating that almost all of the money Horda had spent on the project was not in any way restricted to housing multiple marijuana growers on the property. The vast majority of Horda's expense was the initial purchase of the land for $665,000. The land also has a house and mobile home that are both being rented to residential users. It also has several productive acres in peach trees and could virtually support any other farming use. It could even be still used to grow cannabis, just not for multiple licenses. So the county argues the applicants have not really lost anything due to the new ordinance. They can still make profitable use of their land. Hamburg also made a convincing case that Horda had never, in writing, expressed their desire for the exact use they are now asking for. Horda's request is to allow 9 licensed cannabis growers on the property, 8 for indoor use and 1 for outdoor use. Hamburg allowed that the applicant may have had the desire for multiple licenses to operate, but never was the number 9 specified until after the new ordinance was passed.
Nothing in the application ever proposed a certain number of licensed premises, which I'll explain, nor did the decision ever guarantee or acknowledge any number of licensed premises. It only approved certain types of marijuana production in these specific 11 buildings that we looked at and in the open area.
Attorney Tim Ramis, testifying on Horda's behalf, responded that there is a very simple reason for this. They weren't required to specify a number. At the time of their application, Ramis argued it was legal to have any number of licenses on one property. So, he continues, why would they have argued for something that was already allowed? And why should they now be punished for not doing something that at the time they were not required or even expected to do? Horda likened their situation to that of a developer wishing to construct an office building. They are not required to state how many tenants will be in the building because much depends on economic and real estate market factors that the developer has no control over. The building may ultimately house 1 tenant or a dozen smaller ones. Horda says the same was true of their approach. They also presented convincing evidence that their plan has always been to house multiple licenses, based on correspondence with prospective investors and even county staff dating back to 2017. They also say their intentions were clear in the purchase of the property and the design of the 8 greenhouses, both of which are much larger than single licensed growers could legally use under state law. Here's Ramis.
There's no question that these folks carefully looked at what the rules were, consulted with the county, got advice, disclosed that they were seeking multiple permits, and spent a great deal of money in pursuit of that. So this is not the kind of case where we're trying to weed out a bad actor. These are good people who spent a lot of money pursuing a plan that they were completely upfront about. There was no mystery with the staff about the fact that they were seeking multiple.
Wilson, the hearings officer, made no decision Thursday. Instead, the record was left open for 2 weeks for new evidence and written testimony to be submitted. followed by a period allowing the county and HORTA to respond. A final decision is due in November. Clackamas County is continuing to lay the groundwork for new regulations concerning short-term rentals, or STRs, in unincorporated areas. These STRs, also called vacation rentals, are defined as a furnished home, apartment, or condo, all or part of which is rented for no more than 30 days, typically on a nightly or weekly basis. These regulations include, but are not limited to, the popular online vacation rental marketplace, Airbnb. A draft of these proposed regulations were presented to the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners at a hearing late last month. The new regulations are designed to correct several problems. The first of which is that the zoning codes currently on the book do not address STRs at all. Technically, short-term rentals are not allowed in unincorporated Clackamas County. And yet, county staff know that hundreds, if not thousands, of these properties do exist. They line the slopes of Mount Hood and other popular outdoor destinations, and they service the ever-growing Clackamas County wine tourism scene. In fact, Planning Director Jennifer Hughes estimated that between 1 and 1.5% of homes in the unincorporated area are short-term rentals.
1 to 1.5% of the housing stock in the unincorporated area already is in short-term rentals. And so the impacts have already happened for that percentage. And so to the extent that we all believe that in somehow specifically allowing this and writing new regulations is going to cause a whole bunch more, there certainly would be potential impacts to affordable housing, but those impacts in a lot of areas have already happened, and I think we've already seen them and housing prices are going up for a number of reasons as well.
The lack of regulation makes it harder for the county to respond to neighbor complaints about these properties, which may include noise, parking issues, trash, and other nuisances. It also creates a problem with the county's transient lodging tax. This is a 6% tax paid by operators of all temporary lodging facilities in the county. This ranges from hotel rooms to rented tent spaces at campgrounds. The transient lodging tax funds go towards promoting tourism in Clackamas County. Commissioners say they have heard from numerous registered hotel, motel, and other temporary lodging proprietors that they feel that Airbnbs are reaping the benefits of these funds without paying their fair share. The September 25th hearing was a lively discussion about the proposed regulations. Topics included whether they went too far, whether they were equitable compared to long-term rental conditions, and whether the county departments who would be expected to enforce the new terms, primarily finance and the sheriff's office, have the resources to handle them. Commissioner Paul Savas, in particular, expressed discomfort about the new policy's direction, feeling it veered too far into regulation and tax collection, without addressing the main concerns citizens had raised during public hearings.
The part I have discomfort with, and I'll say it again, if you get into the regulation piece and the enforcement is focused on collection and registering and all the other stuff, you're not getting to the enforcement piece that resonates or reflects what the citizens' concern or the neighborhood concerns are. That's the piece is missing. So you're going through this whole exercise, and the whole reason we got in this in the first place was because of neighborhood complaints. And you don't have an enforcement mechanism that gets to that that serve those type of complaints, which is the here and now, which is not the owner's responsibility, well, to some degree, but it's really about something's going on right now. I'm going to call 911 or the sheriff. That piece is missing.
To Commissioner Ken Humberston, it came down to a question of doing nothing or trying to do something. For him, the answer was clear.
This is no different than the vehicle registration fee, to be perfectly blunt. We have three choices: do everything, do something, or do nothing. I think doing nothing is not an option personally. I think that there are issues that need to be addressed. I don't think we can do everything. I understand that. So let us do what we can do to try and get our arms around the problem and make a dent in the issues such as TRT and misbehaviors on the bad players that we can. Do I expect you to be able to do it perfectly? Of course not. because we do have limited resources. But I don't think doing nothing is an option.
The matter is planned to be brought back before commissioners for a final vote in the near future. For a link to the proposed draft regulations, find this story on our website at cambynowpod.com.
Marilyn and Marty Nash, owners of the Canby Pioneer Chapel Performing Arts, were recognized last week for their efforts to beautify Canby by restoring and improving the historic wedding and music venue on the corner of Northwest 3rd and Elm. Canby Area Beautification and the Canby Area Chamber of Commerce presented them with the 2019 Canby Business Beautification Award for their contributions to enhancing the beauty of Canby. At this week's Canby City Council meeting, Canby Area Beautification's Kathy Ray Smith explained why she felt Marilyn and Marty were the obvious choice for this year's award.
Done a spectacular job with both the building, the grounds. It's really a wonderful location, and Marilyn Nash was kind enough to give me a tour there, and she told me a story about how when she was having the roof replaced, one of the workers fell through one of the stained glass windows. And the construction crew had said, oh, well, we can just get that fixed. And she said, no, this is an antique window. And so she did the research and wrote to a company in France to get the same type of glass. And so her commitment to beauty, as well as things being done with integrity, I thought was just really exciting.
The chapel was originally built in 1884 by the Methodist and local carpenter Frank E. Dodge, who adopted a Moorish style for the Little White Church. Marilyn Nash acquired the structure in 2005 when it was in desperate need of a new roof and more than a little bit of TLC. Marilyn was up to the challenge, actually taking up residence on the second floor of the chapel while she worked on it each day to bring her vision to life. For several years, the chapel has been gaining a reputation in musician and performing circles as one of the best-kept secrets in the Pacific Northwest. But this past year in particular, Marilyn and Marty have focused on the chapel's grounds, with an eye to making the building's exteriors and gardens match the subtle elegance and old-world charm from within. An outdoor tent for performances, receptions, and other events was added, as was a brand new electronic sign that Marty and Marilyn joke is Vegas style. Marilyn's also particularly proud of her authentic English garden, overflowing with dinner plate dahlias and imported French hydrangeas. You can thank my wife for telling me how to pronounce that word. And her other flower beds, all of which she still tends herself. I love gardening, she says. My grandmother was a master gardener, so I've always loved gardening. It's a beautiful outlet for me.
Canby football fell on the road to undefeated Tualatin Friday night 62-33 for their 5th loss of the season. But it was the Cougs' highest point total in more than 2 years since defeating Newburgh 34-27 on September 15th, 2017, which was also their last win. It was also the highest point total allowed by the Timberwolves in their first 5 games this season, all wins. Much of the Cougars' success on the scoreboard came from super soft Mikey Gibson, who earned his first start at quarterback after an inspiring performance in the 4th quarter of last week's loss to Newburgh. If anyone thought the underclassman might be rattled facing an undefeated top-ranked opponent in his first start, Gibson put those concerns to rest quickly. He showed incredible poise throughout the game and found the end zone 4 times, all on passes to Canby's core of talented receivers. Junior Chance Miller had a huge game for Canby, catching 2 of those touchdown passes while also forcing 2 turnovers on defense. Senior Jack Lindman was the target for 2 scores of his own. The Cougs' final touchdown came in the 4th quarter after junior Zach Markell subbed in his quarterback. He got his first score of the season on a keeper, scrambling into the end zone from the 20-yard line. After the game, Coach Joyce praised the performances of Gibson and Miller. Offense is coming together, he shared. We fought hard and had a lot of good effort. Obviously not the result we wanted, but we battled for 4 quarters. Tualatin is a great team and a great example of what we are trying to build here in Canby. Canby returns home next Friday for a league match against Lake Ridge. The Pacers are 2-3 on the season so far and ranked 23rd in the state. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. In other sports, Canby Volleyball continued their strong performance in league play. They won both matches this week, taking 3 of 5 sets on the road against Tualatin, then sweeping Lake Oswego at home to improve to 6-2 in the Three Rivers League and 7-4 overall. That ties them with Oregon City for second place in league, but that will change this week as they face the Pioneers on the road Tuesday night. They'll also take on Tigard on the road Thursday as league play continues. Tough losses all around for the women's and men's soccer teams. The women are on the road for both games this week against St. Mary's Academy and Lake Ridge, while the men will host a league matchup on Thursday versus Lake Ridge. The action gets underway at 7 p.m. Finally, in cross-country results, the Cougars traveled to Franklin Park in Yakima to compete in the 46th annual Sun Fair Invitational. Senior Isabella Kasalik was Canby's highest finisher, coming in 4th in the 3-mile women's elite runoff. Senior Matthew Powell and sophomore Carson Emdike paced the men.
We have opportunities through this show to talk to many incredible people, from the movers and shakers to the everyday folks who do what they can to make our little corner of the world a better place. It's not every day, but sometimes we also get the opportunity to talk to someone who truly inspires us, and that is the case today. Ellie Shorter is a 16-year-old junior at Canby High School, captain of the girls' varsity soccer team, and also a member of the cheerleading squad. Ellie and her family recently received the devastating news that she is in for the fight of her life. After weeks of needle biopsies, ultrasounds, a contrast dye CT scan, blood test, and a surgical biopsy have finally confirmed that Ellie has Hodgkin's lymphoma, a type of cancer that affects the white blood cells. Her friends and family say Ellie has been a fighter all her life, and that's not about to change. We're honored to have her for a few minutes now on the Canby Now podcast. Hi, Ellie.
Hi.
So can you start by walking us through the process of how you found out about this? I know oftentimes people will notice a symptom like some sort of lump around their neck where the lymph nodes are. Is that what happened with you, or how did you first find out?
Yes. So I recently was in a car accident. On August 16th, I was hit by a drunk driver.
Oh my gosh.
And, yeah, it was a scary time, but I got through that and I walked away. Luckily, there was a witness. It was also a hit-and-run accident, so I luckily got a picture of his license plate, and so he was found, and so then I was going to the chiropractor. And after my massage, I noticed a lump on my neck. And I initially thought it was just a knot, and so I kind of mentioned something to my parents. And then about a couple weeks later, I went into my doctor to get cleared to play soccer again. At this point, I hadn't even started my season. So this was right when soccer season was beginning. And my doctor said, like, this needs to get more checked out, and that's when I started the needle biopsies and all that. And then I started slowly getting symptoms like rashes on my body, which is a symptom of Hodgkin's lymphoma. And from there, it just kept progressing. So that's how I found out that I had it. Was it was a miracle. It was a blessing almost that I got in the car accident.
Yeah, it seems like it kind of put you in that sphere of medical care where this was able to be caught as early as it did. So a silver lining to what could have obviously had a much worse effect. Don't drink and drive, people who are listening to this. Can you talk a little bit, Ellie, like when it was finally confirmed? I know, you kind of go through this process where it might be this, we mentioned all the different tests where they finally confirmed it. what was your reaction, or how did you feel when you finally understood? Okay, this is what it is. This is what we're gonna have to do to deal with it.
Yeah. So the day I found out the news, my parents had sat me down and we had a conversation about it, and it took me a little bit to fully comprehend what was going on, but before I found out, we kind of had a feeling that Hodgkin's lymphoma was the results, and so I had been doing a lot of research about it, and I watched videos about people that had been in remission, and I have just always been a positive person, and I always like to see the bright things, and that's just how I've been going through it. And I know that there's going to be tough days, there's going to be days that I feel weak, but I just got to know that I'm a fighter and I'm going to get through it, and that's what I have to tell myself every day. And I knew the second that I found out that believe it or not, I'm the lucky one that got diagnosed with this, because there's a reason why. Because I'm one of the strongest girls ever, and I know that for a fact. And so I live by that day by day, and knowing that I have the best support system, not only in the town of Canby, but just all over. It's been awesome receiving and getting the support from the surrounding towns and people that I've played sports against. Like, it's just a crazy feeling getting that text message from just a random teenager in Wilsonville and the Barlow soccer team just showing their care and support by giving me flowers, and it's just been crazy.
Yeah, that was pretty incredible that they did that at a recent game. I think they maybe gave flowers to all the seniors and then a special bouquet to you in support of your fight. Is that what happened? Yes,
it was absolutely remarkable. Like, I had no words, and it was just amazing to see that the opposing team that we were just about to go to battle with could show their love and respect and support for me and the team, because it's not only me going through this battle, it's also affected my teammates, but I'm super proud of them for just being strong and playing all for me. So it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And hearing you talk, even just over the phone, the strength and courage, I believe it, that you being the strongest girl I've ever met, that absolutely is true. And it's so cool. It's really amazing and inspiring, the approach that you have to this, that you really see it as an opportunity to reach out to and, offer some of your strength and inspiration to others. That's truly amazing, Ellie.
Yeah, thank you. I just hope to get through this, and hopefully it will go quickly, and I just know that it will all be okay.
Yeah,
with the support I have.
It will. You will get through it. So what is ahead as far as treatment? Do you kind of have a sense of what is on the horizon for you?
Yes. Today I have a PET scan, and so that will tell me where the cancer has spread throughout my body. And so that will give us some big help to look at staging. There's still a couple more things that we have to do to find out the stage. And then I get admitted to OHSU on October 14th. And that week, the 14th through the 17th, I will do a bone marrow biopsy to see if it's in my bone marrow. I will surgically get my port in. And then during that week, I'll also start chemotherapy.
How are you feeling with all that stuff on the horizon? Is it, I imagine is it a little scary, or?
I'm just going to get through it. I'm not scared at all, actually. I have been talking to a young girl that was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma her sophomore year of high school. And now she goes to Oregon State, and she has just been talking me through it, and she's told me her story, and so she has really inspired me. And something that's helping me not be scared is that I get to inspire the people around me. So when I get chemo and I'm sitting there, I just hope that I can inspire the kids younger than me, older than me, whoever's in there, like, I just want to be the light in that room, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a couple of hashtags that are out there now. We've got Ellie's Army and Ellie Strong, I believe, and Ellie's Fight. So 2 or 3 that are out there. I just think it's cool, kind of like, obviously, and we're going to talk about it in a second as well, the GoFundMe and some of the fundraising efforts that are very successfully working now in the community to help support you and your family, and just kind of, make it easier on you as you can just focus on what you need to do health-wise. But also just, as silly as it may seem, like the hashtags and just that social media angle, showing that the community, your friends, and maybe many folks you never even met are behind you and with you. Is that right?
Yes, it feels amazing. The reason why I feel like the luckiest girl to be going through this is because I have so many people behind me, and like just all different avenues. I have the whole school. I have sports teams. I have clubs. I'm a leader of the FCA team, that's Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And a little bit about that, it's just, it's pretty much just disciples of athletes that are trying to get Christ in athletics, and it's just really awesome to be a part of that. And that group has shown me something that I've never been shown before, and it's just a constant support and all the hashtags, and it's awesome. And I just don't really have much words about it because there's just so much, and people wearing the shirts, like we have shirts and people that have like hashtag Ellie Strong on the back. It's just awesome to know that I'm not alone in this fight, and that I will never be, however long this takes, however long treatment takes, I will not be alone.
Yeah. Well, and for what it's worth, you've got a podcast behind you. Canby Now podcast is with you. And my daughter as well, because her name is Ellie. I was talking about you, and she overheard and was like, oh, kind of, why are you talking about me? Because she just heard the name Ellie. And so I was telling her about, a little bit as far as she could understand. She's 5. But I did mention Ellie's Army, and she said she wanted to be in Ellie's Army. So you got a 5-year-old with you, too.
That's so awesome. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned, there is a GoFundMe campaign. You can find it, I think, most easily just by searching Ellie's Fight. And but we'll have links. There are a number of them out there on social media. We'll have them on our Facebook as well. Is there anything else that you want to tell people, Ellie?
I don't think so. Just the last thing that's super important to me is that just knowing that I have like the best support group around, and my goal through this is to just give back to everyone else and just touch everyone else's lives through this. And through soccer, I know that I have touched many little girls' lives, and I hope that they can see me through this and know that I can get through it. And I just want to help everyone and just know that it's all going to be okay. And I got given this battle, but I know that I'm stronger than it, and I'm just ready to fight it. And I just thank everyone around me, and I thank you, Canby Podcast, for having me. And I'm ready for it.
Cool. Awesome, Ellie. Well, a couple more things that I almost forgot to mention. Coming up on October 17th, there's going to be an Ellie Strong night as the girls' soccer team take on Lake Oswego here at home. It's going to be at 7 p.m. Come show your support. They'll be selling the Ellie Strong T-shirts and, other Cougar gear, I guess, as well. And then that next day, Friday at 9 a.m., there's going to be a 1-hour Ellie Strong youth soccer clinic for kids 4 to 14. For a suggested donation of $20, you also get a T-shirt. So just lots of different ways to show support for what you're doing, Ellie. Hashtag Ellie Strong.
Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ellie. Hey, Tyler, did you know that the world has changed in the past 20 years?
No way!
Yep, it's true. The way people shop for goods and services has completely changed since this thing called the internet started catching on.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
And yet some realtors still offer the same old services in the same old ways and for the same old percentages. Victory Point Property Group in Canby believes it's time the real estate business caught up with the times. They'll meet with you for free, explain every step of the process, give you a clear game plan, and even let you choose the listing commission.
Really? They let you choose their commission?
Really, Victory Point Property Group understands this is one of the biggest and most exciting decisions of your life, and they'll do everything they can to make sure you handle it like a rock star.
Wow, that sounds great. I'm going to check them out by calling 503-263-4700 or by visiting online at victorypointhomes.com.
You do that. Victory Point Property Group, real estate reimagined.
True story. When we first started the Canby Now podcast, we were looking to buy some stickers. Just something to help us get our name out there. We didn't have a lot of money, so we tried to do everything as cheaply as possible online. We wound up with 1,000 of these teeny tiny cheap looking stickers. Not exactly the impressive swag we were hoping for, but you know, you get what you pay for.
Yes, you do. If we had been smart, we would have gone to see Carrie at Promotional Strategies. She's a real live human and a creative genius who will deliver practical, strategic ways to promote your business on any budget. If you're looking for high quality swag that you can be proud to see your logo on, Promotional Strategies is where you want to go. Find them at 695 Southeast 1st Avenue in Canby or online at ps266swag.com. Welcome back, listeners. My guest on the Canby Conversation today, joining us once again, it's been only a year or so, is the president of the Canby Public Library Foundation, Jon Dragt. Welcome back, Jon.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a little bit of a different setting than when we had you on last time back in like episode 4 or something like that, when we had no idea what we were doing. Now we have, slightly more idea, and we're in our lovely new studio in downtown Canby, as opposed to the lovely library, but that is not great for recording because of their HVAC system. That's quite noisy. So
yeah, and if you have anyone out there in podcast land have anything you want to contribute to Canby Now, this is the place to be. This is looking pretty stylish here.
Oh, thank you very much. Even more so than the library, you would say. I mean, we have far less books, I will say that. So,
but there are books.
We have a couple of books here in our little studio. Well, welcome back. You are here once again, obviously, to talk to us about the upcoming Canby Film Festival, which is the 4th annual one. It's going to be this Wednesday, as always, at the Canby Cinema, and it's a fundraiser for the Canby Public Library Foundation, which of course benefits the public library. But before we get to that, I was hoping we could just talk a little bit about kind of the reason for it and what the needs are at the library, and why folks should look at supporting this fundraiser.
Well, yeah, there's a few things that are going on, and from a positive aspect, there's a lot going on at our library now. Even recently, they've opened up an office for the WIC people out of the county. That's women, widows, infant, and children.
I believe it is women. I think it's women, infants, and children.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
So that's a service they're sharing now with the county to provide services for those people who need that.
Yeah, the Canby Public Library is housing that program now for the whole county.
Yeah, it's a pretty valuable resource here in Canby for us. Also, I understand the teen room and the teen activities are really taken off. They're often getting 20, 30, 40 teens coming in to do that.
Which is unbelievable.
Yeah, and as a middle-aged man, I appreciate the library taking those teens off the street. Nothing more intimidating to us grown-ups than teenagers in a pack, right?
Oh, well, yeah, and not even like, they're criminals or anything. It's just like, what do I say to these kids? Like, they're going to think I'm so lame.
That's right, always, yeah. I'm well beyond being cool at this point.
I don't know if I was ever there, Jon.
Long in a rearview mirror.
I don't think I was ever even at that level.
And then some other things that are going on there is, you can get the cultural pass there now, and they have an app you can download on your smartphone so that you can get the cultural passes that allows you to get free entrance into places like the Japanese Garden, the Oregon Garden, the Art Museum, the Aviation Museum out in McMinnville. You can actually...
The World of Speed, which I have taken advantage of several times because my son is obsessed with cars. I just, leave him there and head over to the bar on the other side of town and come back a few hours later. He never noticed I was gone. So
yeah, so that's a great resource. They also, did you know you can print from your smartphone or your laptop at the library?
I did not know that. You don't have to log into the little computer lab computers?
No, they actually have the ability to do that remotely now. Mm-hmm. So you can, and all that information is available on how to do that at the library. And of course, there's a small fee for that to cover their costs for paper and ink and that sort of thing. But it's a pretty good deal if you don't have access to those kind of resources. Yeah. So there's a ton going on that's worth supporting and talking about.
They just rolled out the new Library of Things, so you can, in addition to books and movies and music and all kinds of other resources, you can rent a metal detector.
A metal detector, a karaoke machine.
bubble making machine.
Don't make me start singing into the karaoke machine at this point.
You know what? I would listen to it for at least a couple songs, see how you do.
Right.
But yeah, it's basically
telescopes,
an amazing telescope. Basically, just like our Canby Public Library is a center of many, many cultural activities, many organizations, and it's really not just for books. I mean, it supports so many things. Like you mentioned, even county programs like WIC. Mm-hmm. There's so many programs that either literally wouldn't exist for many people that depend on them, or would certainly be in a much worse state if it weren't for the support given to it by the public library. So it's not even just the library that you're supporting, but many other important programs in our community.
Yeah, and not only that, I happen to have a client that I know in town here. They're an international corporation, and they were hosting a large contingent of people from Japan, and did not have the facilities in-house to take care of that, so they were able to use the facilities over at the library, and in the gratitude, they gave us a substantial donation in gratitude, because they were just overwhelming in their praise as to the facilities and the help they got over there to put together their stuff as well. So, that whole facility, the library, the people that work in it, the materials, it's just an amazing place for people to expand and grow. And I'm a big believer in lifetime ongoing learning, and I think if you're not learning and growing, you're diminishing and heading in the wrong direction. So the library is the equalizer, and the ability, no matter where you are, whether you're well off or don't have much money at all, it's right there, and your tax dollars are paying for it, so you might as well utilize it.
Right.
Whether if you're a property owner like me, every year you get a chunk of your property tax goes to our library,
right,
and you might as well take advantage of it.
Right. That's why we keep having kids. Just we're paying taxes for the school district anyway. Might as well, funnel some kids through there. So no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's probably the second reason.
So we won't get into that, John. Okay, so the fundraiser that is happening for the film festival. Talk to us a little bit about, explain if you can, how the foundation works and how it ultimately supports the library financially.
Right. Well, really,
because this is a fundraiser for the foundation, not the library directly.
Exactly. All of the foundation monies go towards the library, so it is indirect. But really, in this town, there are 3 organizations that support the library, and I always talk to this when I speak about the foundation, because all 3 work together and are important. There's the library board, which is actually a government board. The city council appoints people to that, and they're always looking for people to volunteer, so look into that. But they're an organization, and their major function of what they're doing right now is making sure that the library and the city of Canby receives all the money from the tax district, the county tax district, that is due.
Yeah.
And then to make sure that the money that received from Canby gets spent well at the library.
Yeah, and unlike most city boards, you don't have to be a Canby City resident to be on the library board. You can be within the county's or the city library service district, which includes some of the unincorporated areas. And in fact, there's 2 seats that are required to be filled by county residents, but it can be more than that if they have the applicants for that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. In fact, I used to be on the library board, and a lot of the reason for that is because even though I don't live within the Canby City limits, so I don't get to vote and have my vote count directly for things, the city of Canby does use my tax dollars for their library. So
Right.
it is important to have some people who are maybe just outside of city limits but still have a voice in how their tax dollars are spent in Canby.
Yeah.
So the library board takes care of that. And then there's the Friends of the Library, and they run the bookstore inside of the Canby Library. And every year they give tens of thousands of dollars to the library in terms of supporting programming that goes on inside the library.
Yeah, that teen room we were talking about, all thanks to them, and a lot of the music programs and educational programs, well, all of them, I should say, that take place at the library throughout the year is all down to those efforts. So
Yeah, so they do a great job and worthy of support. And then the foundation, typically in most communities, there's a third organization such as ours called the foundation, in which you try to build an endowment that will perpetually fund library capital projects or programs and equipment, and basically fulfill any of the needs that the library has in addition to what is already being supported through the tax dollars. So our goal is ultimately, at least my goal, is to help raise $2 million for an endowment, and that's going to be a multi-year project, obviously.
You're not going to do that with the film festival this week?
Not this week.
Okay.
In fact, our intermediate goal will be $1 million, and we're still a long ways from that as well.
Okay.
But give when you can and give often, because your money will get used.
You know what you should do? You should
Probably.
have some of these people in the film festival just make a Marvel movie. They make like $2 million in the first, hour. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah. See, so look into that. We'll talk more about that offline.
About that.
Yeah.
And
I've got some good ideas for that.
And the budget required to create them as well. But yeah, that's what the foundation, we're dedicated towards that. Now, we're not just trying to raise money for an endowment. We also realize that there are ongoing current needs at the library. So in the last year, we've run an aviation camp in the summer for kids. And we've managed to get donated the money and purchase of 14 high-end laptop computers that are used for a variety of programs, such as coding groups and classes that meet throughout the winter, the fall and the winter. They're meeting now. If you're a middle school or high schooler who is interested in learning how to do computer code, then look into that now, because those are ongoing and you can join in on that. We've got professionals in the industry teaching that sort of thing. And there's the computers are also used for a variety of other things, such as citizenship classes, so that we can get other people in our community who aren't citizens integrated into our community and become citizens and all that sort of things.
That program, from what I hear, is incredibly popular. They sometimes are have to roll people over to the next time because they run out of space, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. We're doing good things now, and we're building for the long-term future, because on the negative side, why we need to raise money is, unfortunately, the library tax district and the monies that come out of our property taxes, was only designed to get us up to minimal library standards. And if you want to have something better than just the bare minimum, and I know here in Canby, we overwhelmingly support our library in terms of the votes for the library district.
We're accustomed to more than the bare. I mean, we've kind of been spoiled by so many hardworking volunteers and donations over the years. But yeah,
and to do that requires some money. There's what we've seen this past fiscal year, starting in July, is they've had to close the library on Sundays for a lack of funds, and they've also lost their bilingual outreach position as well. And there's rumors of other things happening down the pike that nobody likes to hear about. So what we need to do is raise this extra money through the Friends, through the foundation, in order to continue to meet the community needs and the library services that the community has come to expect, and even the needs that they don't know they have, that the library can do.
Absolutely. Well, now that folks are all amped up to support the library any way that they can, let's talk about a great outlet that you can do this week. It's going to be the 4th annual Canby Film Fest at the Canby Cinema, as we mentioned. It's going to be on Wednesday at 6:30. And let's talk a little bit about the slate of films that you have coming up. So, unlike maybe what folks thought about when I first said it, the Cannes Film Festival, these are short films, not feature-length films, but there is quite a mix of, as far as documentaries, all kinds of different genres and subject matters. Since we are maybe running a little later on time, why don't we pick out just a few, or talk a little bit about that process of selecting the films? Because I mean, do you look at that as far as trying to create a really good mix? I assume that you get maybe quite a bit more entries than you end up ultimately having time to show.
Right, absolutely. What we do is we post this on a website that's designed for helping run film festivals and receive submissions to them from local from filmmakers. And we focus our film festival just on Oregon filmmakers. So each submission that we accept has to have some kind of a strong Oregon tie to it.
Oh, okay.
We literally get thousands and thousands of submissions from around the world, but we have to call that down to just the Oregon ones.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think we get somewhere around 50 or so that we choose from, of a wide variety. The only criteria we have is it has to be 15 minutes or less.
Okay.
Obviously, there are things we wouldn't show, but that's the primary thing.
Well, and you've got 14 that you ended up ultimately selecting and slated about an hour and a half. So obviously a lot of them end up running a lot less than 15 minutes. What's kind of the average?
Well, I would say 3 or 4 minutes on average.
Okay.
But it does vary. We have a couple that get into 10 or 11 minutes long.
Yeah.
And some that are 2 or 3 minutes long.
Sure.
As well. So it's kind of bam, bam, bam.
What are a few that you're really excited about this week?
Well, I'll save one that I'm particularly excited about for the end.
Okay.
But, we have a wide range of filmmakers that we are presenting. Some are working in the industry and have a full-blown career in the film industry. Have worked on TV shows like Portlandia and some of the other ones that have been in town. Actual union member people. Which is impressive to be able to get that kind of content here. And then we have some beginning filmmakers and some teen filmmakers and young filmmakers and people who are looking to break into the industry as well, adults.
That's really awesome to be able to give some folks like that, like their first shot at, showing their work to a real live audience. It's not like their mom,
Exactly, yeah. And it's something else
friends.
to see it in a theater full of people.
Yeah, for sure.
It is something special. In terms of, I don't want to pick out one or two that I'm excited about because I'm excited about all of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty honestly. But we have an animated, a cute little animated one to start it out with, and then a few other sort of light drama shorts that are coming in after that. One that's I think I call it an emotional gut punch. Which is a very well done drama.
So that's one of the lighter ones, John. The emotional gut punch. I'm getting a good sense of your kind of who you are as a person. If getting punched in the gut is like, oh, that was fun.
At least, it's good to be at least moved emotionally.
Yeah, for sure.
And we don't have any horror this time around.
And that is something with short films that is maybe a lot of times more possible or more accessible when you have just a few minutes that you're working with. Sometimes, especially someone who really has a talent for storytelling can pull that emotion more than a 2-hour film. You're going to go through a much larger range, but you maybe don't have that immediate and big, kind of visceral emotion that you come away from.
Yeah, most of them are kind of lighthearted, light comedy kind of stuff. There are a couple that are music-oriented. One's just a kind of a cool music video that lasts less than 3 minutes. There's another one that involves a lot of kind of modern dance to music. It's very artistic and stylish. I enjoyed watching that one as well. And then what I'm also, there's one with a really clever wordplay, sort of a couple of detectives going back and forth it's just, you got to see it.
Okay.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by that one. That's cool. I love wordplay.
Yeah.
So. And that one's called Who's on First? No, I'm just kidding.
We do have one that is a film essay about the white supremacist murders in Portland, which is thought-provoking.
Okay, another nice light one.
Yeah. I'm pointing out some of the more serious ones, but one that I'm also very excited about is about a local young lady here in Canby. So it's a Canby-produced film about a local Canby subject. It's the log line is basically after traumatic brain injury. Natasha forms an assistive technology to lead an active social life and aspires to help others.
That's cool.
It's a great, touching story, and it's very inspiring. And there's a very good chance that they'll be at the film festival as well. So I'm really excited to have them see their documentary up on the big screen as well.
Cool. Yeah, well, let's call that one out. So that's Natasha's Voice, and the filmmaker listed here is Zach Putnam.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool, and that is a story that originated right here in Canby.
It is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you may see them on a Canby Now podcast in the future.
You just might. I mean, anything that's cool in Canby, we try to get on here. So,
yeah,
absolutely.
So it's a great story.
Cool. Well, how can folks find tickets here in the next couple of days?
You can save some money, and if you want to give us more money, you can just come to the door and buy tickets at the door.
Okay.
It's $15 at the door.
Okay.
If you want to save a little money and give us a clue as to how many people are going to show up, you could purchase your tickets before Wednesday at Canby Cuts Force Thriftway at the customer service desk. They're $10 at that customer service desk.
Yeah.
So just go up to the customer service desk and say, I'd like 10 tickets to the Canby Film Festival for $10
you have to say it. You have to say it in that way. That's
exactly.
Just part of it. Sorry, guys, but yeah.
So, and that's directly across the street from the movie theater. And like I said, otherwise at the door, you can just walk in and pay $15 at the door.
Cool.
And all that money goes to the Canby Public Library Foundation.
Yeah.
And is to a terrific cause.
One step closer to that $2 million goal. Well, thanks so much, John, for being on the show again. And we're really excited about this year's Film Fest and just excited that this exists. I mean, it's something that's very unique for Canby, not something that you can really see anywhere else. Some of these unique short films that really, just the festival itself is something that's unique for Canby, but the actual content is not something you're really going to find anywhere else.
You won't see this anywhere. One night only. Wednesday. Come on out. Have some fun, and we'll have a great time.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks, John. So I'm here with Derek Hill, president of Advantage Mortgage in Canby. I was wondering what's going on in the mortgage industry right now.
The mortgage industry is on fire right now. The big thing that's really exciting for us is that we are now an independent mortgage broker, which means that we can offer substantially lower rates and lower fees for our customers. For example, we just got a loan last week, and the realtor said, hey, I think you should go talk to Derek at Advantage Mortgage. And sure enough, we got the borrower 3/4 better rate, and we saved him $14,000 in fees.
Cool. So where can people find you?
So office number is 503-266-5800, or they can find us on the web at findtheadvantage.com. But most people just give us a holler or they stop in.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, bet. Advantage Mortgage, NMLS number 1770599. Derek Hill's NMLS number 50183. Equal housing opportunity.
The great outdoors. Sometimes you just gotta get away to a place where life is simpler. The air is clean and the nearest ringing phone is about a million miles away. One of the best places that we found is My Cowboy Cabin near Joseph, Oregon, in the heart of the Eagle Cap Wilderness.
Eagle Cap is the largest unspoiled wilderness area in Oregon.
With breathtaking views of granite mountains and crystal clear lakes and more than 500 miles of trails to explore, it's one of the premier hiking, fishing, and hunting destinations in the Pacific Northwest. My Cowboy Cabin is open from Memorial Day weekend through Labor Day weekend and can be reserved on a weekly or monthly basis, depending on availability. With a cabin that sleeps up to 8 people.
And also a teepee that sleeps 8 or more.
That's right. It's perfect for family vacations, retreats, reunions, and more. Find out more at mycowboycabin.com.
All right, so this is Tyler Clausen, not Tyler Frankie, the other guy that does our show. I'm out because Frankie made me come out of the basement to go do some stuff. And I'm walking by and I see some really cool wood-burned cutting boards and such. And so do you want to introduce yourself?
I am Tracy Hayes.
Hi, Tracy. So do you want to explain what I'm looking at here?
I do hand-burned cutting boards and signs. They are all hand-done. There is no machines involved here. And I do these for bazaars and loan officers, and I'm doing it today here for First Thursday.
All right. Have you ever done a First Thursday event before?
I have not. This is my first time.
All right. What do you think?
A little slow so far.
Well, the rain does dampen things a little bit, literally and metaphorically, right? So you don't use machine at all. These are all hand done. This is amazing. Do you mind if I snap a picture at some point so we can show people how incredibly intricate these are?
Absolutely.
So what got you into starting to do this? Did you wake up one morning and think, I'm going to do this, or did you always want to be a wood burner?
Actually, believe it or not, it was pretty much what you just said. I woke up and I said, I can do that.
Yeah?
And I started wood burning, and I've been doing it for about 2 years now.
Very cool. That's awesome. And are you based around here, or?
I live in Molalla.
Okay.
And I do this out of my own home, and I just take requests a lot from loan officers and everything doing this. Yes.
And where can people find your work?
Facebook business page, Creative Burns.
Creative Burns. Okay, we'll go ahead and make sure we throw that in somewhere so people can find it.
Perfect.
Tracy, thank you so much for chatting with me.
You're very welcome.
All right, so I just happened to be walking by Waite Park, and I heard John singing out here. John, do you want to say hi to our listeners?
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. So, John, you're hanging out at the gazebo, and dude, you sound great.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. How long have you been doing music like this?
Well, I picked up the guitar with the downturn in 2008. Something to do.
Yeah.
And so they asked me to play First Thursday tonight.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm a computer engineer by trade, but you know, things got slow and I needed something to do, so I picked up the guitar.
Yeah.
And then I started doing some open mics and stuff, and people said I should keep doing it. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm starting to do the markets and First Thursdays and things like that.
What kind of music do you generally play?
Well, it's all kinds of music. Blues, jazz, rock. It just, if I like the song, then I learn it and I play it.
Dude, that's great. Yeah, and you got a couple different guitars here. Do you just play guitar, or do you play other stuff?
Just guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So I do like everything from old Johnny Cash and Elvis to Green Day and
if it speaks to you, you want to sing it out to the people, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that's so cool. I am at Equity Oregon Real Estate. I want to make sure I get that right. Tell me what First Thursday is and what it's all about. Why you guys decided to do this.
So First Thursdays is about bringing some excitement downtown. So different businesses in town stay open late and offer things for people to come out and do. And so we try to offer a craft every month that's really family-friendly, kid-friendly, anybody could do. And this one, since it's October, we're doing pumpkins.
You know, Halloween will be here before you know it. Heck, the decorations are already in the stores. So I've got a scary good deal for you. DirectLink is offering 50% off their blazing fast internet speeds now through All Hallows Eve. Not only will you get a sweet candy corn of a deal, but every one of their broadband connections comes with unlimited data, free, and that's no trick. So switch to Direct Link to stream and surf as much as you like. Plus, take advantage of free Wi-Fi home networking for 6 months with free installation of commercial-grade Wi-Fi equipment that ensures your entire home has the strongest, most consistent signal in every room. Talk about a treat. Call 503-266-8111 or visit directlink.coop for blazing fast internet.
The Canby Now podcast is a production of Now Hear This Studios, Canby's locally owned full-service audio, video, and media production company. Our mission is to produce the best content in the universe, and we'd love to help you do it. Find us online at nhtstudios.com.
Canby Now podcast is dedicated to preserving independent local journalism and redefining local news with our fun, fresh, and energetic brand of storytelling. Our sincere thanks to our local sponsors who make this show possible. Please show your appreciation by supporting the small businesses who support us.
Huge thank you as well to our supporters on Patreon. We rely on your monthly contributions to continue to do this work that we seriously love. For information on how you can become one of the coolest people in the world, a patron of the Canby Now podcast, visit cambynowpod.com/plus.